I'm professional investigator Justin Yentes. Here we cut through the noise, dig deep, and uncover what others overlook. If you're ready to roll up your sleeves and get to the bottom of the story, you've come to the right place. Welcome to Truth Be Found. Let's get to work. What happens when a man of faith, born under one of the world's most oppressive regimes, risks everything to speak the truth? And the country that promised refuge sends people like him back into danger. Today, I'm joined by Pastor Ara Torosian, a man who escaped religious persecution in Iran, built a new life in the United States, and now fights to protect those whose protected status was suddenly and cruelly revoked. This conversation connects faith, integrity, and U.S. policy decisions to real lives. So let's start at the beginning of Pastor Ara's journey. Pastor Ara, your faith moved from tradition to conviction after a life-altering injury, and then into an underground ministry. Could you tell us what everyday life looked like for an Armenian Christian under the Iranian government?
As you know, I'm Armenian, born and raised in Iran, and my mom's side is from my grandfather when I was a baby. Through Armenian genocide in 1915. They came to Iran. And then I remember my grandma was a Turkish speaker.
Mm-hmm.
I saw, because they hide their faith when they were in the north west of Iran to kind of hide their faith. And I remember my mom and my grandmother was speaking Turkish. But my father's side is from 500 years ago that Shah, king of Iran, brought some expertise from Armenia to develop Iran. So Armenian, they built first printing shop, first movie theater, and lots of things that we developed, even the army of Iran in that time. And as Armenian, we are kind of small minority in Iran, especially before revolution. We were lots of Armenians, around million, and then now is around 25,000. And we usually get together in a pocket area called Armenian area in Tehran that I born. And we always, as Armenian, we had our school, Armenian school, our club, and our Orthodox, Armenian Orthodox church, and we try to not marry it with non-Armenians and keep our kind of nationality as Armenian. But after revolution, our kind of faith and Christian faith got because of the government pressure us and close lots of things. And Armenian tried to keep that tradition. And we were kind of nominal Armenian traditional Christian, and lots of Armenian right now, if you talk about Christianity, they know that they are the first nation to accept Christianity, and they're very proud of that. But if you go deeper to ask question about the Bible, even they have no idea that even Jesus was God. Many of them, because of influence after revolution, they still believe that Jesus was a prophet, Armenian, which is so sad. And for me to kind of even in our school system, they didn't allow us to learn Armenian, so it's just like a 1 hour a week to learn Armenian. And our writing and reading in Armenian is bad, so we learned Farsi. And then for first time when I was 16 years old, 15 and a half, I was dreaming to be a soccer player. I was a professional soccer player in that time and successful. And I got injured and then got depressed. I couldn't go back to my sport and professional sport. And then for first time, I got Farsi Bible after kind of looking for life and meaning of life in that time. And for first time, I got the Farsi Bible. And I went to a very small evangelical church. It was Assembly of God Church in that time. If you hear as Bishop Heiko Sepian got murdered many years ago, and I was part of that church, small church that had different branches. So it's only evangelical church, and I went there, and for first time I got the Farsi Bible.
Was that an underground church, or was that a
No, in that
public
time,
church at the time?
yes, in that time, we had like speaking evangelical church in east of Tehran, which is capital that I born, and there are also a few other Armenian speaking, and then there's a Farsi speaking in central of Tehran, one of the biggest church, which is a few services in Farsi languages,
Mm-hmm.
and also in different cities like Gorgan, Ahvaz, Shiraz, and other cities, and Rasht. They are the Farsi speaking church building which built before revolution. There is
Okay.
nothing built or built after revolution. Whatever we had before revolution, the Farsi speaker was going to the church.
Okay.
And I got the Farsi Bible and read and find the truth in my life.
Now, as I understand it, and I've listened to some other interviews that you've done, and I've read up on your story. The Farsi Bible was that illegal to possess at the time, or did it become illegal
In
after
that
that?
time it was illegal, so we had to go to different, but it's not bad as right now. I
Mm-hmm.
think the persecution started after revolution. Even before revolution was a
And for those
persecution
for
for
those that are
Christian.
listening that might not know the history of the Iranian Revolution, at what point did that happen? What year was that?
It was 1979, the day that I born. In
Okay.
1979, and then this radical regime came, and still for 46, 7 years they are in
Mm-hmm.
the power, and you see the result of the bad tree.
Right.
And yeah,
So tell me how, when you got a hold of the Farsi Bible, you started going to an evangelical Christian church. What was the difference in the evangelical underground church? Because at some point, that church had to become more of a secretive organization, correct?
yeah. So what's happened in my time? So, as Armenian, if you are Orthodox and you change it to Protestant churches, that's a big crime,
Right.
kind of. And for everyone was shocked to see me as a young guy in that going to that church, and lots of persecution, even in my school, Armenian school, which is and my family side also. Why you're leaving your religion and going to this religion that preach gospel, to preach Christianity to Muslim people. In that time, people know, and they're weird, they're this and that. And even our priest came to our home and asked my mom to stop me to go. And my mom was a teacher, and she said like, he's free to choose whatever he wants. So we started persecution from our Armenian community, and then still is going on. Honest with
Mm-hmm.
you, still is going on because they don't believe the Christianity is very nationalism, very just Christianity only for Armenian. They don't believe a Muslim can be Christian. That is the result of even being discriminated as Armenian in Iran, and they don't believe it because, for example, Armenian shop, they have to have a sign that shows this is Armenian shop, and they're not, to just bring awareness what's happening,
Okay.
for Muslim not to come and eat in our shop. So this all like Armenians is like a second class citizen. They can go to work in army, government, and other stuff. But in
So,
meantime, we have to go to soldier,
and
being
in
soldier
addition to
and war.
being Armenian in Iran, you also had the second layer of discrimination as being an evangelical Christian Armenian
Yes,
within Iran.
yes.
Now, as you got involved with the evangelical Christian movement, you eventually started working to help the underground church. Can you explain what the difference is when the church had to go underground, and what that means to those of us in the United States that have never had to face that?
So you know, this is the big difference between Iranian Christianity and American Christianity. In Iran, if somebody like me and like Farsi speaking people or Muslim background, if they want to choose Christianity in Iran, uh, right away, we understand this probably caused lots of sacrifice and lots of problems, and we are buying lots of troubles, and even will take our life. So one of things that, like, in American churches, I see lots of people that said, "Oh, I want to be Christian if God give me a good wife or good business or good school." In
Right.
Iran, as a teenager, as a youth, when we said, "Jesus, I want to follow you, even if I die. That's my decision. I want to die for you because I find the truth, and I can't ignore the truth that really saved my life." In that time, church was okay. Farsi speaking is booming everywhere, and there was a big revival. And government start killing our pastors, you know, and then pressure to the church. And then in 1999, I decided to kind of find more about Bible. I went to my church sent me to a Farsi speaking Bible college in England
Mm-hmm.
to study there. So in 1999, in 2000, I arrived in a suburb of London in a very hidden place because there was a bunch of Iranians and 1040 Windows Farsi speakers from Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan. They were there to got trained and then go back to our countries. And then the government started pressuring, because the government of Iran later on, they said, okay, you are going to, and they said the evangelical churches, they're doing soft revolution. So they call it soft revolution. In Friday night, Friday prayers, the Supreme Leader came and said, oh, be careful, this evangelical churches and pastors that are spying for CIA and Israel and the British. So they want to
Mm-hmm.
do soft revolution, because in that time, in like start this revival 20 years ago, and people start hearing the gospel, and church was booming, evangelizing, and lots of things happened in church, and church was rapidly grow. And then they start pressure our pastors, put some of our pastors in prison, and then one day they came to a Farsi speakers churches and building, and I remember they said, they put this sign says, this church is under construction, and they close the church. And
Wow.
lots of pastors, somehow they push them to go out of Iran, and prisons, and then pressure. And then in 2003, I went to Turkey as a pastor over there. I was a young pastor and pastoring the church, and then back to Iran in 2004, and start my underground church, because there is no on ground church in Iran anymore. So I
Nothing
went
above ground, nothing
underground,
public.
nothing public, more pressure. And even like Justin, I try, like I see people really hungry. Like I didn't do anything, like word of mouth in taxi, and people and friends and friend, and they came to me and said, we need Bible, we need Bible, we need Bible, and there's no Bible. So even I tried, listen to this, I tried to print a Bible inside of Iran. So for printing, I find a printing shop, I offer some money and said, like, this is illegal, I want to print. And they said, okay, go and grab like a blank paper. Like for the printing, I need to provide the Bible paper. And Bible paper is not like this.
Now it's that
Okay, it's not
thin
like this.
onion skin
The
paper.
very thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I contacted the China, and I find this ideal and everything. And I went to get all approved to bring this paper to do a bakery.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what they said? They said, okay, this paper only used, they said, only used for Bible, and this is importing this paper is illegal.
Wow.
And then I was shocked. I said, wow, Lord, like I was saying, Lord, even they are afraid from blank paper. What about the Bible if we print? So we start, when I was in Turkey, some smugglers became Christians. And then I contacted them and said, can we smuggle Bible inside of Iran? So we had this chance, and our underground church, it means we have to be very secret.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be very careful. We are not able to shout and praise the Lord and do this. And we start doing like this when we want to clap, and we want to pray quiet. And for example, every month we had this gathering of all leaders from different cities, and from morning 8 o'clock to 8 p.m., people should come one by one to not get attention. They couldn't come with the group, so
Mm-hmm.
they come in different times. We met, we pray, and we celebrate each other and worship together, and they go back to their cities.
So in 2005, after you were unable to import the Bible paper into Iran, you decided to obtain some Bibles and were caught bringing those in. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so
In
if you
November
could,
2005.
November of 2005. So walk us through the day of the arrest. What were you doing, and what did the Iranian officials say?
So what's happened? Because every few months we had to take, like, I had to, get together my leaders and took them to a neighbor countries for a conference, for a leadership conference, to just renew and refresh. And it was in November, one of that trip, that I was engaged also with my wife. So we took around 20-25 people, and we went to the conference. And on the way back, everybody got some Bible. I put on I got my wife bride dress, so we had wedding coming up. And um and so when I arrived in airport, actually, my wife, in that time I was engaged, told me somebody is following us from the gate. So
Mm-hmm.
from the gate they follow us, and then they caught actually another person. We pass, and they caught another person, and that person start following us to the parking lot. And in that moment I said, like, okay, I think that's it. No, they are following us. They will catch us. And I dropped off my fiance in front of the house, and I went back to home, and I told my wife, okay, this is what's happened. If something happened to me, don't worry. Go get married,
Mm-hmm.
and tell this people, my friends, and ask them to pray. And in front of my house, actually, when I arrived, there was a car waiting for me, three people waiting for me, and they asked me to go with them. And I said, who you are? And they started punching my face and putting me, like, they put something in my eye, not to see it. And it was driving around 1 hour. They stopped
Like
somewhere.
a cap over your head, or some sort of
Yes, his
blindfold,
cap. His cap.
like a bag, like
His
you'd see
cap,
in a
bag, his
movie.
bag. And then they start hitting my tummy, when I was like, say, where you're taking, who you are. And then they stopped somewhere. I was in car for like few minutes, and then what I remember, they drove off, and I was in, when they opened my eyes, another place. I was in a dark, uh, and a small, very scary room, and they start to ask me question,
And what did they ask you?
and asked me, okay, tell us. They put a paper, like blank paper, and they said, write it down. And they went out. I started write it down,
What did they want you
but
to
I
write
knew what
down?
they want.
Well,
Everything. He said everything from your childhood to now, what you did. So I started writing, random stuff that I love, like ice cream. I love soccer. I love this, my team. And then
mm-hmm.
they came and looked, and then they threw it out. And I said another one. I said, tell us more about your activity. Who is leading? Who you get money? Who is your contact? Who is your members? I said, what members? So I start fighting with them, and then they also start beating me up. I was bruised everywhere.
So they had you in a
It
dark room and were beating you, asking you to provide the names of your pastors, your congregants, the other people that attended your church, and the other faithful
Yes,
Christians that you knew
yeah, and because and later on realized that I was under their surveillance for many
under their
months, and they
surveillance.
knew, yes, for many months, they brought some pictures when I was baptizing people in Turkey. Also, some picture that I got in the conferences that I went, and they knew lots of things. And basically, what they want from me. After 3 days, they leave me alone. I said, "We'll contact you." 2 years, I was house under arrest, so I couldn't go out of my
But
home
you
or
were
my
in their
city.
custody for 3 days
3 days,
as they were trying
but
to get you to divulge and betray your
yes.
congregation and other Christians.
Yes, and in 2 years, actually, I couldn't go out from city. And in 2 years, every week, 3 or 4 times, they took me to the offices. One day they're nice, they gave me kebab, and next day they beat me up again. And in meantime, the church leader in Iran, they realized, oh, maybe what they want actually, they want information.
Mm-hmm.
What I realized, they want me to work for them. But I promised myself, I told my wife, I said, okay, if I die, I'm not going to give up any names. And I promise, as I'm a weak man, but Lord, give me strength. I'm not going to give up even I die. Like I promised myself. So they bothered my wife. They came. The guy that tortured me, and I really get afraid from him all the time, and trauma is always
Still
coming
to
to
this
me.
day, is that something that you
Yes,
think about?
yes, yes. And he was in the church because what he says, he said, if you see me outside of these rooms, you don't know me. So he was in my wedding in the church
Mm-hmm.
and looking at me and smiling. In that time, I was crying, and then and people they realized, oh, I told my wife, I said he's there, and in my happiest day, I was like scared what he's going to do in my wedding day.
Now, were these men? Were they members of the Iranian government? Was there a secret police? Is there a
IRGC,
religious enforcement organization?
they are usually the Secret Service and IRGC.
Now, the Secret
Uh,
Service of Iran and then the IRGC. What does the IRGC stand for?
is Islamic Revolutionary Guard.
Okay.
Usually, the Secret Service they are Revolutionary Guard, a part of that enforcement, which is very faithful and radical for supreme leader and Iranian government.
Okay. And so
And
they attended your even your wedding. Did you see them at
yes,
other times when they would be surveilling you?
my house. So I opened my house one day. I went out and they were there. They were outside of my house. Basically, they want me to be the guy. Auntie Justin, what's happened after many months? So many times. One of the things that they did, which is still I remember, they took a gun, handgun. I never see the gun is not legal in Iran, so for first time I see a gun, and he took the bullet, every bullet, and it says for every Christian, this is worth of one bullet. I said, why you're not killing me? I said, this is mercy of Islam. You are alive. So, and he put this bullet on the gun, and then like step by step, psychologically, put it in my head and said, I will kill you. Give the names. And I said, I don't have any names. I can't say it. And you know, uh, God is supernaturally helped me. In the offices, gave me strength and power to stand up and talk, even witness to them about the love of Jesus. When I was out of my feet, was out of the office, like I was so afraid. Like even these days, if somebody walked behind me, I get stressed.
I can
Like
imagine.
I wanna like who is going to beat me from back? So it's just very cruel. And one of the things that really kill for many months kill my spirit. This is maybe first time I'm saying it publicly. So they show a video to me, and they were giving up. Like I said, oh, this guy is not going to give any names, anything. So I said, come here. They gave me tea, nice, a chocolate, and then said, let's. I want to show you something. And they show a video that a pastor, a friend of mine, better not to say pastor, but pastor,
Mm-hmm.
actually he was giving the names of Christians.
Mm-hmm.
He was giving, in that time, the leaders in Iran, Christian leaders, they thought that I'm kind of spying for government. And then I was seeing a same person or one of the person and leaders actually giving the names. Actually, he was doing what they want, and I was like shocked. And there was no AI, nothing in that time, 2005, 2006. I was like, what's happening? And that was like that person was very close to me, very dear to me, and I went to home and I was like crying. I said, Lord, I can't. Like my brother, I put my life in danger not to give name. This brother is giving the names easily. Nobody knows. And one day I tried to go and shout his name in front of some Christians, and Holy Spirit didn't allow me to do it. And I'm happy not to do it, because in that time, if I was like, so many times in those days, like I said, who is the boss of the church?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the owner of the church, the leader of the church. And Lord, please take care of that. And honestly, like, God take care of him.
Right.
I can't, because if some Iranian see this podcast, they will know who they are, and and I promised myself not to mention his name, and
Right.
because I realized he has a kids and other stuff, and I said, okay, he gave up. Um, I didn't have the kids, so maybe if I had a kid, I will work with them.
Right.
Maybe many times they said, "Oh, we rape this, we rape that. We rape you, we rape your wife, and other stuff." And I said, I'm not going to judge him. I want to pray for him that Lord will take care of this, and
Right.
Lord really take care of that.
Well, I suppose that
So it was very, very hard.
everyone has a breaking point at some point. That might even lead up to death. Now, was in 2005 that you were arrested for Bible smuggling, and then went under house arrest and under interrogation and torture. At what point did you determine that it was no longer a viable option to stay in Iran and that you had to leave?
So I was the last person in my family. My mom and my sister, my four aunts and cousins, everybody, like my mom and my sister left Iran. And there was a program, Lindenberg program is a refugee program
Lindenberg
for,
program, it was called?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Lindenberg, kind of like, from President Reagan,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's suspended. So there was a legal way for us as an Iranian minority, especially Armenians and ethnic groups, to come through this program and apply in Iran and sponsor family members here. They do the paperwork, and we went to third country like Austria and stayed there until review day, and then come to with flight,
And
come to
we've
LAX.
had recent programs like that with temporary protected status in for Venezuelans and Somalians and whatnot. Now, what year was it that you were able to take advantage of that program and leave Iran?
In 2009.
In 2009.
Yes. After my arrest, the point that I decided, I started my real estate business. Yeah, I couldn't do any ministry in meantime. I have to feed my family, and I was very, very successful in 2 years. Very successful. And one day I was in a very luxury restaurant, very high end restaurant with high end people, and I went out the restaurant. I told my wife, I said, like, I cannot do ministry, but this is not, I'm not happy. This is not what God called me to do. Even we have money, but I have something in my heart. I'm not happy. My wife says, what we should do? I said, I have to go somewhere freely to preach the gospel
Mm-hmm.
and plant the church. This is not what God called me. Even though I was very, very comfortable after very harsh years of ministry, school, and then all this happened to me. And then my mom was in Los Angeles, my sister, so they applied for me. And into end of 2009, I went to Austria, and then applied there, and we arrived 2010 to LAX,
Okay. So
January.
during the latter part of your time in Iran in, let's say, 2007, 8, 9, when you were working in real estate, were you still under the constant surveillance, or did the government at
Yes.
some point let up on their surveillance and persecution of you?
Um, it was like lighter, but I knew that they're looking at me. That's why I couldn't go to any church, any meetings, any connection to Christians. Only things that I had is Iranian TV, like Christian TV that I was watching through satellite.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times I saw my disciples that I baptized in Turkey and in different countries, and then now they're in TV now. I couldn't do anything, and I was not happy. Even I was very successful businessman.
Mm-hmm. So I would imagine, you knew that you were under surveillance, that they had showed up to your wedding, that they had held you under house arrest for years. So could you not go to one underground church for fear of leading them to this underground congregation? Is that why you had to stay away?
But yes, of course,
Yeah.
I cut all my because of their safety.
Mm-hmm.
I cut all, but they carry lots of them. They carry that calling, and some of them they got arrested after a few years. They
Okay.
went to prison. One in the Shiraz, they went to prison for 4 years, another 5 years, another 3 years, and this continues. In American churches and also Iranian churches outside, if the pastor get sick or fell or something, the church will destroy. But they caught me. But the kingdom of God in Iran works very well. It's not depend on me and other people. They carry that because we're together. We love the Lord. We knew this is dangerous, and there's nothing can separate us from Lord and the kingdom work in Iran.
Wow.
And we use every second, every opportunity to preach gospel to our families
So once
and
you
friends.
got to California, to LAX, that was in what, 2010 or so?
2010.
2010. And in California, you founded the first Armenian language Southern Baptist church and also built a Farsi speaking congregation for Iranian refugees.
Yeah.
What was it like to start those ministries in a free country after being under
So
such persecution?
yes, when I arrived, I was so excited to go to the church and church building actually.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I went to my contact in Southern Baptist. I was working with Southern Baptist for many years, and then I end up in Glendale, Burbank, which is
Mm-hmm.
lots of Armenians, and I start Armenian church planting. And Southern Baptist was North American Mission Board was pushing to do church planting, so I was a church planter. I was excited, I was hungry, I was thirsty to do it. I said, I will do it, and they said, you will get like $1,000 a month. You go and plant the church in Burbank. I said, yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So even it was not my rent, and I was working like 10 or 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day as a refugee, and also the recession was very bad economically.
Mm-hmm.
And I planted a church. This is what God called me to do. And what's happened one day is very, I love writing, handwriting my preaching,
Mm-hmm.
and then my Armenian is not good, so I write. And church was growing, Russian Armenians, and I start writing like Farsi. And in the meantime, I translated in Armenian and preached them.
You
Even
translated, what was that?
like I was writing
Mm-hmm.
Farsi words, and in the meantime, when I was in Armenia, I was translate because my writing is not good Armenian. So my
Okay.
mind, I read the Farsi and translate it to Armenian. And sometimes I ask people to read the Bible because my Bible was Farsi. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't read very well Armenian. And one day, like I was preaching, and deep conviction in my heart, and I said, like, Ara, why you are preaching Armenian? And I said, I'm writing Farsi and then preaching Armenian. Why I'm doing this? So next day I told my wife, I said, God, I think call me to go somewhere to start Farsi speakers, because this is what God called me, not for Armenians. I'm Armenian, but God prepared me and called me to preach gospel to Muslim background. So I find West LA called Tehrangeles. Majority of Iranians outside of Iran live in this
Tehrangeles, that's what
pocket.
you called it?
Tehrangeles, yes, Tehrangeles, and in that time I was doing Uber. Uber was there, so I was free anytime I want. I couldn't commit myself to 8 to 9, 8 to 5. And then another brother joined me, American, that served in Tajikistan and Turkey among Iranians, American from Kansas City, white guy, speak
Mm-hmm.
Farsi fluently.
Wow.
And we plant and pray for many years. I pray many years in the street in West LA until this brother joined me, and we plant the church. And then a pastor kind of kicked us out because we were growing. And then find Cornerstone West Los Angeles. Like, we were looking for a place to not charge us a rent because we didn't have money, and we sent a letter email to a conservative church, because in LA you can find any kind of church.
Right. I
So
can
we are not
imagine.
part of any kind of church. We want like a Bible minded and kingdom minded churches, and we find Cornerstone West LA, and we send the letters to them. And pastor, usually we got like lots of spam email or people requesting lots of things, and you start
Mm-hmm.
deleting, ignoring. And this pastor was like Monday morning, Pastor Scott respond us and says, "Oh, actually, we are praying for 4 years, and actually, we baptize a few Iranians this Sunday, and we don't know what we should do with them." and and then I went to the church. I saw Farsi. Like, if you come to the Cornerstone church, you see Farsi, Spanish, all signs: Farsi,
Mm-hmm.
Spanish, Chinese, and English. And I saw it. I said, "Oh, why is Farsi in this?" And they church research around the community. These four languages spoke mostly,
Okay.
and they were praying 4 or 5 years to God send a person, a pastor, to lead Iranian church here. So I
Wow.
was there, and they were like a divine appointment. It's like godly, and they invite me, and I didn't want to work with any organization. I had kind of some problems, and I said I don't want to do anything with American churches, because so many times in American churches I was like, say, oh, they will love us, they will uh, you know take us, but I find lots of negative stuff. Like, I was 2015, I was feature missionary for Annie Armstrong Easter offering, and I travel a lot. I travel with Open Doors. I saw lots of churches in
Mm-hmm.
South, and I saw the things that I never imagined. One day, people, they treat me like, you're not, you're here. We are here. We have money. You don't have it.
Right.
We have more knowledge. You don't have it. Like, in
Yeah,
church,
there's some cultural issues that tend to influence various congregations, I would assume.
yeah,
Um,
either like, even like, I find out that uh, some Christians, uh, they felt that I'm a threat for them. I said, I'm your brother. I'm not your threat. Like, I'm a
that
pastor.
you
I
were that
love
you
the
were
church
a what was that?
because I'm from Iran, and
Okay.
I'm threat.
Okay.
Or, I'm Christian. I'm not like government of Iran.
Mm-hmm.
I got persecuted, and I find out, oh, there's lots of work I have to do, and lots
Right.
of advocacy, and lots of knowledge that what's happening in the world. Like, I find more religious stuff than Christianity,
Right.
more religious, more closed, and they are not aware what's happening in the world. Lots of Christians in America, that people is dying for their faith. They are
Right.
they are sacrificing it. Like, I went to the church that they were angry because a condition is not working.
Mm-hmm.
They left the church. I was like, wow, I never see this. Some pastor, they told me, oh, people is complaining because the chair is not comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They want a comfortable tape. That's why they left the church to a more production style church. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, I never heard this. Like, I was shocked. really, I was shocked to see
Well,
this, and
I'll say
that's
that
why.
a lot of folks, and pardon the interruption, a lot of people, and I learned this in Venezuela when I used to live there. I met a Venezuelan in Barquisimeto one day walking around, and he told me, he said, Justin, the problem with Americans is that they believe that the whole world is like America. And I was a young man. I'd moved to South America and had my eyes open to the struggles in other countries. But if you've never seen those countries, if you've never been to the area, if you've never looked into the struggles that folks like you have gone through in Iran, it's easy to assume that the whole world is like what we enjoy and the freedoms that we have here.
Yeah.
And it is very unfortunate that mindset has prevailed. Hopefully with the advent of the internet and social media, people can see what's actually happening in Nigeria, for example, in Iran, in Afghanistan, with the underground church and with actual persecution and people that are having to suffer and die for their faith. And that kind of brings us to the current issue that brought you and I together. Even as you built safety here and you built your congregation and you started building up a Farsi speaking church, your congregation faced a renewed danger. So in recent months, you've seen ICE raids, you've seen some of the trauma that your congregants have had to experience up close. You had a video that went viral with a young woman who went into a panic attack as she was being detained. And you went to Washington, D.C. to hold a hunger strike. And I read in one of your statements that you said it felt like being back in Tehran. What specifically was it that triggered that memory?
Honestly, I still am shocked why Iranian got targeted, especially Iranian Christian got targeted. I understand that people should come legally to this country. If you are doing crime, every government has a right to deported people. But among 10 or 15, I don't know statistics, 10 or 15 million undocumented illegal aliens in the country, there is maybe 2,000-3,000 Iranians, and mostly they're Christian asylum seekers or political or ethnic groups like Kurdish and other. And among that 10-15 million, only 3,000 people. And you know how hard it is to come to America. And also on another hand, people say, oh, come to legal way. Even I try for my family members to come through that program, all visa, everything got suspended.
Mm-hmm.
So even the refugees in Turkey, there is more than 1,000 Iranian refugees, more than I don't know how many, but they're Christian refugees. They're waiting 10 or 15 years to get to America, a third country. And we try hard to even sponsor, there's a program called Welcome Corp. In last minute, they cancel it. And there is no legal way for Iranian to come. And I'm asking, show me one legal way. I will help my friends to come.
And previously through and I'm going to have an immigration attorney interview with us next after you. And she is going to explain the issue with how asylum is actually sought, that it's not something that can be done from overseas, from another country. Yeah. You have to present yourself at the border to an immigration officer. And we've seen that in our cases time and again, where we've had Venezuelan refugees that were fleeing political persecution. We've had Salvadorians who were running from gang crime, that not only did they cross through southern Mexico and all up through that deadly passage from Chiapas up through northern Mexico, But then as soon as they cross the border, they seek out and look for Border Patrol so that they can declare themselves right away and say, hey, I'm here and this is why. Because I'm being chased by, whether it be a gang member or a dictator controlled government in Venezuela, or those that are fleeing religious persecution, like Iranians, that there's not an option to send in an application and request asylum or request safety anywhere. The only option that Iranians currently have, based on my understanding, is to fly to Mexico or fly to Central or South America and travel to the U.S. border on foot or by train or by bus, and then go and find a Border Patrol officer and explain your situation. And so previously there was an opportunity for those people to gain some temporary humanitarian parole and determine the validity of their claim. And since that has been suspended, how has that affected your congregation of Christian refugees?
As you mentioned, there is no, I never see in last 15 years in America, I never see an Iranian undocumented.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody come and seek for Border Patrol. Catch me. I wanna be asylum here. I want asylum here. And they got the lawyer, they got the paperwork, everything in a legal way in America. And after all this happened, they're afraid. They're hopeless. They don't know what they should do. And lots of times they said, what's the difference between America and Iran right now?
Right.
We don't have the home here over there. And nobody have a mercy for us here. And where we should go. And there are the damage, like psychological damage, emotional damage that this kind of, in my opinion, injustice happened for Iranian refugee is long term. Affect the kids, affect the family members, affect our church and community. And this is not good. This should be like one of the things that I'm saying. There should be a reform. There should be a way. There should be, and even our government people, like I believe, every government has the weaknesses and strengths.
Right.
And I believe that God is appointing the leaders, and I respect. I never, like, even some people, they ask me, they try to use me to be the event. I researched and I said, like, I'm sorry, I can't be there because you're looking for revenge. You're looking to use my story. You're looking to use me for your platform, which is harming or encouraging people to be rebellion. But as an American, Iranian, I respect this country. Still, I believe, like I live in different countries. I believe America is one of the best countries in the world. I couldn't go and protest peacefully in front of the house in Washington, D.C. And so I have these rights, and I appreciate the freedom and liberty that I have. But I believe that I can change. In Iran, we can't change. In Venezuela, nobody can change.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe in my voice, I can change. We gather and show the weaknesses, show the problems. As a second, third person, as a ex-refugee, I said, okay, we need a reform of immigration. We need something that remained for many years. Like you see, immigration law all the time change every 4 years, and another administration, another president come, and this is like ongoing for many decades. So we need the reform, and our people is hopeless actually, and this is not good for America.
I think it's helpful for people to hear your story, to understand that not all of the people that present themselves at the border or cross, whether it be at a port of entry or not, are doing it for the same reasons. There are people in grave danger for various reasons, such as yourself, that need protection. And You are not coming in to change the country. You're not coming in to take advantage. You are coming in simply to practice your Christian faith and are presenting yourself to the government and laying yourself down at the government's mercy, essentially walking across the border and presenting yourself to a Border Patrol officer asking for asylum. And
Justin,
go ahead.
sorry. I love America. I love America. I respect it, and I felt like I owe something to this country, and when I owe and promise to protect this country, I'm down. Like I can do anything. Send me somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so many times I felt I'm more American than born here.
Right.
I love this country, and I really, really love it. And I want to see a big change in this country in a good way.
Well, I'll tell you, we're blessed to have you here, and I'm glad you joined the club. You know, I hope that others can see your story and see the people that you're working with right now. There have been hundreds of Iranians, many of whom are here seeking and in the process of religious asylum, who have committed the capital crime of converting to Christianity from another religion, which puts a potential death sentence over their head in their home country. And rhetoric aside, political positions and parties aside, we have real people, real Christian converts, real people of faith, mothers, fathers, children that are at risk, and the risk is real. And the reason for your asking for help is genuine. And so, Pastor, I know that right now we've got about 15 or 20 Christian Iranians detained, some of which have been sent back to Iran. We are sorting through the process of why that occurred and how we can fix it. And I'm going to ask that you and I continue to work on this together, and hopefully the other organizations, World Relief, the Women of Welcome, the National Immigration Forum, we can all find a solution that protects the most vulnerable in our population.
Yeah.
And I know that you've got a congregant, one of your friends, that was able to be granted asylum this morning.
This morning, yes.
Today, which is
the
amazing.
moment that the video went viral. So
oh, perfect.
The husband in New Mexico.
Okay.
And this is another problem. So wife and husband, they have two separated courts and two separate. We tried to join together. They didn't accept it, approve it. And she got approved today, and I have to go and pick her up and take her to Iranian restaurant after 4 months. Exactly today is 120 days, injustice days of trauma, problems, and in prison. It's just, I don't know. And even I'm thankful that they release and judge, and we have wonderful, wonderful lawyer, Lance, as a pro bono Christian lawyer in Trinity University Law School. And also World Relief. I want to thank World Relief because came alongside of me when I decided to go to Washington D.C. It was nighttime, and I told my wife, I said, I want to go and be voice for my people. I can't sit here.
Right.
So I bought a ticket. I told my pastors, and I said, I want to go there. Why? I said, I want to go and fast and do something there. And World Relief really came along. One of the few.
Mm-hmm.
There is bunch of organization in America that they are doing for persecuted Christians. I appreciate them. But the only organization came alongside of me to be voice and help me and connect me to the right people as a World Relief. I just want to say thank you to World Relief. I want to thank you for my church, especially church members, elders, they never left me alone, left my people alone. And the people that in social media, they came together and help and support and pray. And I have lots of new people, friend, and all over America. If I go somewhere, they came and pray for me. It was very touching for me when I was standing alone in Washington D.C. in front of White House. Pastors came, they heard in social media the power of social media. They came and prayed for me. I was crying and I said, Lord, thank you so much for my brothers and sisters. They are awake, they are aware what's happening, and they care about the vulnerable and people that are in need and persecuted, their brothers and sisters. I just want to say thank you to all of it. Thank you for you that you follow up. I know you have big heart for refugees, and especially your brothers and sisters that maybe never met them,
Not yet.
but you have heart, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Pastor. And we'll let you go and get to your friend and
3
go
hours drive.
3 hours drive. Well, thank you
Victory,
so
Jesus.
much for coming on.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Love you, brother.
I'd love for our listeners to read Start With Welcome, a recent book by Women of Welcome's founder, Bree Stensrud, to more fully understand the immigration issues that are facing our nation. Also, if you'd like to get involved and find out how to support persecuted Christians worldwide, take a look at the links below and visit the various organizations who are asking our administration to maintain or increase the number of Christian refugees that we allow to seek refuge. Silence can be its own kind of violence. Truth and faith require something of us. What we heard today is a warning. When governments trade integrity for power, there are casualties. When we look away, persecution grows in the shadows. Thank you for tuning in to Truth Be Found. The hunt for answers never stops, and neither do we. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us online to stay in the loop. Remember, truth has a way of coming to light. Until next time, keep your head up and your eyes sharp.